they were planted. And what is worrying is that when the first one happened, there were indications that surveillance had been put in place. There will be even an air surveillance along the route periodically to ensure that that is safe. In fact, there is a helipad along the route somewhere there that is built, which was supposed to serve as part of the surveillance. If you recall, when they had to shut down the Abuja airport and passengers had to go and disembark in Kaduna and then come to Abuja by train, that was when that thing was put in place. So there's a need to activate that to protect that.
I think these are, as I said, these are issues that we have to worry about because all around the country, I mean, it's a siege mentality. See you again tomorrow, Bayo.
Tomorrow, God willing, will be another day.
All right. It's Good Morning Nigeria live on NTA's network service. We'll take a short break now. When we return, we'll be discussing the controversial appointment, or controversies rather, around the appointments of vice chancellors of public universities in Nigeria.
The 157-kilometer Lagos-Ibadan Railway is the first double-track standard gauge railway to be built in West Africa. The Mobolaji Johnson train station is a masterpiece, an infrastructure that is gradually becoming an iconic building in Lagos State. The modern facilities put the station on a world map of train stations. Likewise, other new train stations across the country built to world-class standards. The train and its convenience is indeed an admirable effort, with commendations from Nigerians.
This is a station that we have to commend the federal government for putting a beautiful face, empowering us in Lagos State, not only in economic and political arena.
I can say that I'm really impressed with the infrastructures in place. Kudos to the Minister of Transportations. Kudos to the federal government.
Truly, good things are coming out of Nigeria, and the federal government is deserving of all the applause.
Contemporary times require practical skills to remain competitive and relevant in your organization. Therefore, take advantage of NTA TV College Short Proficiency courses to sharpen your professional skills. Basic Broadcast Accounting and Auditing. Date 4th April to 15th April 2022. 2 weeks. Audio Engineering Operations and Maintenance. Date 18th April to 29th April 2022. 2 weeks. The course fee for the 2-week course is 150,000 naira only. Accommodation inclusive. The venue for all courses is the serene and secure environment of NTA TV College near Old Government House, Rayfield, Jos. For more enquiries, please call 0803-314-4383 or 0806-980-9807. NTA TV College, Jos. Training you to be the best you want to be.
We are all Nigerians. Against all odds, we shall and must remain united. We may have our challenges, our problems, and setbacks. However, together we shall overcome them all. What doesn't break us shall make us stronger. This is the mindset that shall bring peace, progress, and prosperity to our beloved country. Do not let tribal and religious sentiments govern how you think, act, or feel. Don't be influenced by those who want to destroy our precious national unity. Everybody who is a Nigerian is your brother and your sister. This is the mindset of the new Nigeria. It is also the mindset that we must all adopt. Let us support each other in creating the Nigeria of our dreams. This message is from the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
As the 2023 elections draw near, remember, evil prospers when good men and women only wish for peace, but never take a step to make peaceful elections happen. Are you a father? Are you a mother? What are you saying to your children as elections approach? Have you warned them not to let themselves be used to cause violence? Have you explained to them what the consequences of electoral violence might be? Do your part to make peaceful elections happen. Talk to your children. Protect them from unscrupulous politicians who want to put them in harm's way, while their own children are comfortable at home, within, and outside the country. Let's join hands to make 2023 elections peaceful. This message is from the National Orientation Agency, NOAA.
Right.
right, welcome back to the program. It's Good Morning Nigeria, and it's live here on the network service of the NTA. Earlier on, we told you, of course, that one of our staff, the acting deputy director news of the NTA, Mohammed Ali, was on the Abuja-Kaduna train that was attacked by bandits last night. He just got home some minutes ago, and he joins us live by Zoom from Kaduna. Mohammed, we're glad to have you with us this morning indeed. Can you give us insight into what exactly happened?
Well, we are on transit about 20, 30 minutes for us to reach Kaduna. Then we just had an explosion, and the train started to shake seriously, vigorously, and it derailed. So it was shaking, and we were wondering what was it. And then the train derailed, and then suddenly it came to a jerking stop. So when the train stopped, immediately it stopped. We were wondering what was happened. Then we started hearing sporadic shooting. They were just shooting randomly, shooting at the train. Where I was sitting, actually, we announced sat down, but the glasses above me, the glass fell off, broke. It was broken. It fell on me and every other thing. It was an experience that you will not wish, even for your enemy. It was serious. So we all lied down, and they continued shooting for about 10, 15 minutes. They were shooting. They attempted to open the train door, but the doors could not open. They shot at the doors could not open because the door naturally is designed to be opened from inside. So from outside, it was not easy for them to open it. So having tried to open to have access, they couldn't. They now went back to the last coach. The last coach normally has a door that links one coach to another, but the place was open. So they shot at the glasses of that door, broke it, and then gained access into the train. All this while they kept shooting. Even while they were inside the train, they kept shooting. So people were scrambling, and because there was light inside the train, they could see us from outside, but those of us inside cannot see them outside because it was dark already. So for the few of them that came in, they were shooting. Anyone that attempted to run, they will try to shoot, and then they pick people up. They were taking them outside, and then suddenly the light in the train went off. So that gave a lot of us advantage because when the light went off, people now scrambled to run away from the area that they were to the area that is safer. Because already the security personnel that were inside the train were engaged. They were also shooting at the opposite direction. But then these people came in numbers. There were many from away, and they planned the attack in such a way that it was not easy for anybody to do anything because it was in a valley. The train was in a valley, and even if you go out, you cannot go up, or you have to run by the side of the train, which was dangerous because they were already outside. So that continued for some time, but when the light went out, we were able to scramble to safer place. And then when the light went out, they also became not so sure of themselves because they knew there are security men inside, and everybody was lying down, and they were the ones that are exposed because they were standing. So when the light, the shooting stopped, and we all lie down there for about 30 minutes without anything. You can drop a pin in that train at that time, but we are murmuring, making calls, sending text messages to people that we know that will bring support. So about 30 minutes later, we saw light coming, and we thought this must be the support we've been waiting for. So later on, about 30 minutes more again, because we were there for more than an hour, then the military guys came in, opened the door, and then shouted that they are the military. We are safe. That there are about 500 of them. We shouldn't panic. We should calm down. So that was a big relief to almost to everybody that's on the train. And then, of course, they started checking to see those that were shot. Then those they picked the deceased, and then they also moved those that were shot to a safer, place. Later on, we were evacuated from that place and then onto a safer place where there were already military surrounding that area. We sat there for about 30 more minutes. Then they now moved us towards the main road because it was about 2 kilometers between the estimated about 2 kilometers between the rail track and the main road where we were attacked. So by the time we got there, meanwhile we were involved, many of us, there were a lot of military guys, because the guy that came in first told us that you shouldn't panic. There are more than 500 of us here. You are safe. Nothing is going to happen again. So they ushered us out to the main road where we waited for some time, and the military vehicle came and evacuated us to Kaduna. Actually, we reached Kaduna around after 3 a.m. and we were taken to the military cantonment, which was the 44 military cantonment, where we reached there around 3:30, and we were allowed to leave this morning, early in the morning.
Muhammad Ali, thank you very much for your recollection of this horrific experience. But how much more do you remember? Were there women and children on board the train? And of course, through the eyes of a newsman, did you see any harm occur to any of them?
Actually, they were women and they were children. And of course, when the military came, they were the priority. The women and the children were given priority. Actually, I was on phone when the blast and the shaking started. I was talking to a colleague, giving instruction on what was supposed to happen on the news yesterday. But while in the course of that, because of the shaking and everything, I lost the phone. I couldn't trace the phone again. So, but my instinct was that I had actually wanted to do recordings because I was calm. Everything I was surprised at the level of my calmness, because if people were rushing, we would just lie down, we were calm, and I was just thinking, if only I could get my phone, even if not to record the video, I could record the audio and then do some other things, actually. But because of the movement, I was on call, the phone fell, because every other bag at the top, if you're familiar with the train, they keep the bags up, everything fell down on people because of the vigorous nature of the it was shaking violently, the train, because of the explosive that we had, because we had the explosive first. Then the train started shaking and derailed and then came to a sudden stop. So there were women and there were children, and surprisingly, the children were not crying. We have even smaller children, but I did not hear the cry of anything. Everybody lied down quietly, as if the children sensed the danger that we were in. So even when the military came, priority was given to women and children.
Mohammed, sorry.
I know.
Yes, Mohammed, we've read quite a number of stories about what happened, and we're glad that you're giving us at least first-hand information at the moment. Did you also, by chance, see any casualty, people being whisked away, by the bandits?
Yes, when the military came in, because actually the attack came through the VIP side. The VIP, that is the first class coaches. There were 4 of them. I was in the last one. The first one from this thing, and then there are 3 others after me. They attacked those particular coaches, and they came in. So when the military came in, they went there because the only other coach that was second class that was attacked was coach number 20 and one number 12. So they were the ones. So when they came, they moved to that area because we knew people were shot, and they picked some corpses, but they were the corpses that I saw, and I was clear. I was not everything. I saw about 4. I saw 4. And generally, even when we were discussing everything, we knew that the people that died were not up to 10 from what I have seen. And I was on that plane. And I know there were people that were shot with gunshots and what have you. And some of us that got injured as a result of the trying to get away from where they are to safer areas. So I saw 4 corpses. Yes, I saw that 4 corpses. These were the only ones that I.
Well, Muhammad Ali.
So
all right.
And we stayed there after that attack for more than 2 hours because we stayed there for about.
Muhammad Ali. I mean, if you recall, round about what time did the explosion occur? And what do you know at this time, or even at that time, about the fate of the train driver?
Actually, I never knew it was bandits that were attacking. I thought it was because normally I follow this train regularly. Sometimes if you follow this train, you will see that the people put on stones on the road. So if it comes, the train comes, it crushes those stones, and you feel the vibration, but it's normal. But that of yesterday was serious. It was a serious shake, and the shaking was so vigorous, everything was falling off. Even people on their feet, because it was shaking up and down and sideways simultaneously, and vigorously and seriously. And I knew the time that the train derailed because I had the velocity of the train and the weight that it came down. And because of those sleepers, the train now is moving on those sleepers. So we are jacking, and then it comes to a violent stop. So I thought it was just something that happened, and the train derailed. Then suddenly there was gunshots, sporadic, non-stop. And so I knew that then it was not the normal thing that we experience on that train whenever we pass.
Mohammed, just the last question from me. I'm sure you've not had any military training apart from the one you and I did in Borno at the work from. But we're glad that you were by no, I mean, you didn't come to any harm. But from what you described to us, it would appear that this was a somewhat well-planned attack.
Exactly. While we were on the train waiting after the military came, somebody came in. He was with bruises on his shoulder and he was shirtless, and he tied his hand because it was bloody. He told us that he was among those that we are carried away by that he was able to jump out of the car, out of a bus, and then he ran back to the train. And we can see the bruiser. He told us that he saw 4 buses and then 3 Sharon, 7 vehicles that he parked close by, and they put all those people. And he also told us that among the people that they took along with him, they have shot about 2 others because the people refused to cover a lady that was shot dead. So, and while he was running, he came there, he removed his shirt to cover her up, and then he ran back to the train. That was what he told us, actually, because we were in the same coach with him. I remember we were in the same coach with him. Even we normally pray on the train when we are coming. We prayed alongside with him, and I saw him come back. But they said at that time he went to the second to the last coach to buy something that he can break his fast, because they do sell snacks and other things on the train. Mm-hmm. And that was when that happened, and he was among those that were kidnapped by the bandits, by those that attacked the train. So that was it.
All right, Muhammad Ali, we know that by this morning the fog would have cleared around the crime scene, and hopefully our correspondents will be around the scene to take some more shots. And but it's not so benumbing listening to what you have said. I mean, this was a very well planned effort by the terrorists. Ali, you're saying something?
Because the place, like I told you, was a valley, so there is no way that you can escape through like that. And then it was well planned. They had their bosses kept, they attacked, and they knew exactly what their target was, and they were able to execute their plans to a certain level.
Well, Muhammad Ali, Acting Deputy Director News of the Nigerian Television Authority, joining us from his home in Kaduna. Would like to thank you for the update you've given us on the terror attack on the train service from Abuja to Kaduna last night, being the 28th of March 2022. Muhammad Ali, of course, we do hope that you don't have any obvious injuries, but of course we trust that you will also visit your family physician later on today just to be sure that all is well with you. Muhammad Ali, thank you very much, and we're all here with you in spirit, and our colleagues and our bosses also say keep it up. Muhammad Ali, Deputy Director, Acting Deputy Director News of the Nigerian Television Authority, with us from Kaduna. This is a story, of course, we'll keep updating our viewers on, as well as matters arising. Claire and I, as well as Bio, we're discussing what needs to be done with regard to greater security and safety for travelers and for everyone. If this kind of incident was very, very well planned and wasn't, as the saying goes, nipped in the bud, then something went wrong. Indeed. Who dropped the ball? And there ought to be consequences.
Indeed. And Kingsley, just to add that the producer is also trying to see if he can connect or reach and connect with the managing director of the Nigerian Railway Corporation, Mr. Fidet Okiria. As soon as we're able to do that, we'll also hear from him the latest development in terms of efforts and what needs to be done. Once again, you're watching Good Morning Nigeria live on the network service. And back to our topic for today, which is the controversy surrounding appointment of vice chancellors to public universities in Nigeria. Now, the recent protest, which is the prompt for a conversation by some persons against the appointment of a new vice chancellor of Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, has been condemned by many well-meaning Nigerians, including members of the academia, as villagization of the Citadel of Learning. We'll take a backgrounder put together by Joseph Oten to lead us into our discussion.
The university system is the highest academic institution in Nigeria. Its services go beyond building intellect, but morals and general development of the society. With this mandate, no one would expect any university to lack the requisite manpower and facilities. Meanwhile, as the pinnacle of academic excellence, the university system is expected to be well structured, right from administration to the lecture halls. However, one thing that has been a source of concern to the university system over the years is the appointment of university vice chancellors. A system expected to stand out for excellence and capability has over time been subjected to sentiment by those with affluence, tribe, and geopolitics, among others. In many cases, governors and top personalities are said to influence decisions on the appointment of VCs, not necessarily considering the best candidates. And even when the right man is appointed, such decisions do not go down well with host communities at times. An example of this turbulence is the appointment of Professor Adebayo Baneri as the 12th Vice Chancellor designate of Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, by the Governing Council. Since then, a wave of chaos took over the university community, with protesters unleashing mayhem on the university facilities, authorities, and even students. The development has turned many to question whether competence has been thrown out of the window, and governance of the Nigerians' home of intellectual capability is now a subject of sentiment. Many are questioning criteria for appointment of vice chancellors and whether they are actually upheld. Guests on Good Morning Nigeria will delve into this development to take a look at procedures used for appointment of university VCs and what has gone wrong, leading to ugly trend of protesting appointments of some of them.
All right, thank you very much, Joseph, for saying that, for that backgrounder. We have guests with us in the studios. as well as by Zoom. Let's welcome Professor Munzali Jibril, who's the former Executive Secretary of the National Universities Commission, NUC. Professor Jibril, pleasure to have you this morning.
Thank you very much.
All right. No.
Also with us in the studios is Professor Yakubu Aboki Ochefu, is the Secretary General Committee of Vice Chancellors of Nigerian Universities and also Secretary General of the Committee of Pro-Chancellors of Nigerian Federal Universities. Professor Ochefu, welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
Good morning, viewers.
And joining us via Zoom is Professor Umar Pate, Professor of Mass Communication and Vice Chancellor, Federal University, Gombe State. Professor Pate, good to see you once again.
All right, I hope the audio will be sorted out by our engineers. We can't seem to hear Professor Umaru Pate, but as I said, that will be cleared up presently. Now back to the studios. Let's begin with the former Executive Secretary of the NUC, and of course the other guests will also take a shot at this. Tell us something, and therefore our viewers, the structure and governance of a university system. Before we get into the appointment of Vice Chancellor, there are other layers of authority. Who are these persons? We hear of visitor, we hear of chancellor, we hear of pro-chancellor, before you start hearing of vice chancellor, deputy vice chancellor. So in the structure and governance of a university system, what are the layers of authority and what happens? Prof.
Thank you very much. Well, if you begin from the top, there is the visitor. The visitor is the representative of the owner, or actually the owner of the university, the proprietor. And rarely do matters go to him for any decision. But in the laws of the federal universities, there are instances where the visitor may intervene. One main function of the visitor is to institute a visitation panel every 5 years to do a kind of performance audit of the university and how it has fared in terms of academic programs, in terms of fundraising, budgeting, management of funds generally, and administration, facilities, and so on. Then below the visitor, you have the chancellor. The chancellor is the titular head of the university. He doesn't really have any function in the governance structure. He has a ceremonial function which only he can perform. And if he's not there, then the vice chancellor does it on his behalf. And that is to chair the convocation ceremony and announce the award of degrees that are earned or that are awarded honoris causa. So it's a purely ceremonial function. Now below the chancellor, you have the pro-chancellor. The pro-chancellor is also the chairman of the governing council. The governing council is like the board of directors of a company. So the properties of the university are vested in the governing council. Finances, properties, and policies. But they are not to go into day-to-day management. Then you have below the pro-chancellor and the governing council, you have the vice-chancellor and his management team. And these are the people who manage the university on a day-to-day basis, just like the management of a company. And of course, you see below the vice-chancellor, there are faculties headed by deans, then departments headed by heads of departments, then there are centers and units headed by directors. So in a nutshell, that is what it is.
Professor Ochefu, let's have your take on this as well in terms of the structure and governance of universities, more particularly the role of a vice-chancellor.
Yeah, just like Professor Bonzali Jibril said, the vice-chancellor is like the CEO. The chief in the university system, we refer to him as the chief academic officer and the chief administrative officer. He actually wears more caps because he's also the chief finance officer and the chief security officer. So the average vice-chancellor wears like about 4 hats in terms of doing his duties. Then he has his line managers who are referred to as principal officers, the registrar, the bursar, the librarian. These are the principal officers that head the major composite units of the university system. And then the deans that manage the faculties, just like he has mentioned. So the vice-chancellor sits on top of that executive board and reports to the governing council. His immediate boss is the pro-chancellor and chairman of governing council. And so every quarter, the council meets and the vice-chancellor has to present a report to the governing council, a quarterly report to say, this is how we've managed university, this is how the finances have been managed, these are our challenges, and this is what we plan to do for the next quarter. So basically that structure is a structure that has been with our university system, and it's not just peculiar to the Nigerian university system. Most of the Commonwealth universities run that type of structure. It's only in America that you find a structure that is slightly different.
Now we have the visitor. We have the governing council. We have the vice chancellor. Who hires and fires?
By law, because all the federal universities and state, in fact, all universities in Nigeria have their governing law. And by law, it is the governing council that appoints the vice chancellor. In private universities, the board of trustees performs that role in the private universities. But in the public universities, federal and states, it is the governing council that hires and fires a vice chancellor.
And other academic staff?
Well, for other academic staff, not directly, but they have that oversight function because in the governing council, the way it is structured, they are run by 3 strategic committees: the Finance and General Purpose Committee, the Appointments and Promotions Committee, and then the Procurement Committee. Now, the Vice Chancellor is chairman of the Appointments and Promotions Committee for all other appointments other than that of the VC. And so, but whatever he does, he has to present it to the governing council for ratification and approval, as the case may be.
Sorry,
yeah.
yes. What are, because I'm concerned, what are the requirements for citing, a particular public university within a particular, zone or location?
It's a very interesting question. Well, I think the first generation universities, I think there were probably rational criteria employed in citing them. For example, the first was the University College Ibadan. And you would ask, why didn't they cite it in Lagos, which was then the capital? This was 1948. We were still a colony. So they wanted a place that was detached from the hustle and bustle of city life, where people could concentrate on study, research, and so on. So they chose Ibadan. In Zaria, in the north, they went to Zaria, a small, sleepy city at the time, and away, not Kaduna. So, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, as premier of the eastern region, chose Nsukka, again, a rural setting, quiet and tucked away from all the hustle and bustle of city life. Why not Enugu? Why not Onitsha, his own hometown? But, and also when we came to the second generation universities, the 7 that were set up in 1975, 76, that is Port Harcourt, Calabar, Ilorin, Maiduguri, Sokoto, Kano, and no, I've mentioned Port Harcourt. Maiduguri, Kano, Sokoto, Jos. Okay, so the seven sisters that they are called. Again, there was some rationale because there was a need to spread out the location of these federal universities. But after this first and second, I think the thing went haywire. The political considerations came in. For state universities, you can say with a high degree of confidence that the hometown of the sitting governor was probably the most likely location. And if a second university was to be set up by a future governor, it would also be his hometown. Okay. So, and then something was done, I think, which was good during the Jonathan administration. They realized that not all states had federal universities. So first they set up 6, then they set up another 6. So by the time they did that, every state had at least one federal university. And we thought that we had reached the optimum. And what we needed to do was to consolidate and expand these universities. But subsequently, some more have been set up, and one is at a loss as to what the criteria are.
All right, Professor Muzali, thank you very much there for the historical recall. But just for the benefit of our viewers, so that they don't assume that after University College Ibadan, the next one was Ahmadu Bello University. Actually, it was University of Nigeria, Nsukka, that came up in 1960. I think we need to clarify that. And it is often said that UNN, excuse me, is Nigeria's first autonomous university. But let's not get into that controversy. So that I know that alumni of the University of Ibadan, will be up in arms this morning and say, "This boy, you have started again." So
I am one. Ibadan, and it is the first and the best.
Well, in those days, there was Professor Ikenna Nzimiro.
Yes.
A Marxist scholar at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and sociology. And he used to say, because the university had acquired the bragging rights, that anywhere you were in the world, just address a letter to him. Not these days we are doing email. Just say, Professor Ikenna Nzimiro, University of Nigeria. That's all. That the letter will get to him. But you couldn't do the same for someone else. All right, gentlemen, let's get a bit more serious now. Professor Umaru Pate of Kashere, that's the Federal University, set up, of course, by the Jonathan administration, I believe. Professor Umaru Pate, we're getting now into the pith of our conversation. And just before we do that, one other body that is often mentioned repeatedly in university structure and governance is the Senate of the university. So tell us, what is the role of the Senate? And then from there we move on to say, look, for the Vice Chancellor who wears, as Professor Ochefu says, 4 or 5 caps, but I'm seeing only 1 cap on you, Professor Umaru Pate. What are the criteria for picking such a person? Prof.
Well, thank you very much, and good morning, Nigeria. The Senate, like you have appropriately asked, is the academic board of the university. It decides anything to do with academics is with the Senate. As the Vice Chancellor, you are the chairman of the Senate, and you have the deans and the heads of departments and all the professors in that university in the Senate. And that is where you decide on the academic content, the standards, as well as anything to do with awards of degrees to your students, either on honorary basis or on the basis of obtaining it based on what they have got from their departments. The curriculum is also decided by the Senate, like I've said, the contents generally and the standards are set by the Senate. And universities generally, as you may know, are conservative in protecting their senates and the decisions of their senates. But as you can see, these days you have a lot of influences and a lot of interferences coming from external sources, sometimes trying to take away the responsibility of the Senate in determining certain things. But generally, the Senate is like the academic guardian, is like the protector, as well as the custodian of all the academic contents, the academic activities of the Senate under the chairmanship of the Vice Chancellor.
I'll still remain with you, Professor Pate. You're the Vice Chancellor of Kashiri, the Federal University Kashiri in Gombe State. Can you share with us, the process that brought you, as a Chancellor of the university? Professor Pate, can you hear me? Hello, Professor Pate, can you hear me?
Thank you very much so. And yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I saw an advert in a newspaper. I was consulted by some colleagues. Why don't you just give it a trial? I said, well, let me do it. I applied based on what they have written as their requirements. I submitted my CV. And at a later time, we were invited for an interview, I think about 12 of us or so. We went, and the first part of the interview was for us to be tested on ICTs. We were taken to the ICT center where each one of us was placed on a computer